Hey everybody, we're the Bob and Ken Show. We're back. We just wanted to provide a little bit of an update. This is June 19th. The time, I'm not even sure what the time is, but anyway, we're at the destination that we aim for tonight, the 19th, which is Peak Creek Church of the Brethren. We're just waiting for somebody to come open up the church, so we've kind of camped out in a beautiful deck that they have in back. This is just it's a gorgeous area. The church, well, we haven't been inside, but the outside, it just looks beautiful. So we had a pretty strenuous day today. Bob, you want to tell them some highlights from your perspective?
Yeah.
By the way, this is totally, we haven't prepared for this at all, so forgive what comes out.
Yeah, because we have e-bikes, there aren't places along the Blue Ridge Parkway to charge at night. I mean, there's some campgrounds, but there's no place where we can plug in at night. So we had to come down off of the parkway, and getting up onto the parkway was a bear. I mean, there were the elevations were 12, 13, 14% grade upward, and it was pretty tough. It was a fun ride coming down, but then again today, because we were down in, what was the name of that place? Mount Airy.
Mount Airy, North Carolina.
The Andy Griffith Show is modeled after Mount Airy. And then to come up out of that, I mean, we just had to stop and rest halfway up the mountain because it was pretty brutal. So we're grateful to be here today.
Yeah, and it was a good day too. We stopped, I mean, after we got through, I guess it was about almost three quarters of the trip today, we got to a town called Sparta. And Sparta is small, according to the latest census, about 1,800 people. But they had a coffee shop there, and I forget what the name of it.
I wish we could advertise them.
Yeah, it's Becca's something cafe, but they serve great coffee.
Whoa.
It's a great place just to be in. We were there for over an hour. The two folks that were there staffing the store, they were absolutely great. So we got some egg sandwiches, we had coffee, and there's nowhere around here to eat that's even close around here to eat. So we also got some things to take with us. So we had those in the bike, and we'll put those in the fridge as soon as we get a chance. We met a great family there. Actually, Bob started to talk to them. They came in. It was a mom, her great aunt, and a 4-year-old girl who was very, very, very active. Yeah. But they came in and they sat down and they were eating and having their coffee. And we started to talk to them a little bit. And one of the very interesting things was that the little girl's name was Ruby. And what makes that so interesting is that a few days ago, when we were in Waynesboro, Virginia, at that Church of the Brethren, we met a 4-year-old girl by the name of Ruby. Now, she had very red hair. This Ruby was a brunette, but just a very uncommon name. And here we are miles apart, and we meet two Ruby 4-year-olds.
Isn't life amazing? Well, the really cool thing about them, what was her name, the mother's name?
Kayla.
Kayla was just this extraordinary young woman, had gone to graduate school, had been in Africa, and her mom came up to this little village, and she decided to come up and visit with her, and she liked it, and long story short, she decided to live there. But she said if it wasn't for this coffee shop, she wouldn't live there. It just creates kind of an atmosphere and a sense of community that she didn't experience while she was living in Florida. So that was a pretty neat story.
Right, it was. And she's the optician in town.
Yeah.
I don't know whether she's the only one, but my guess would be she's either the only one or one of the few, but she actually knows the pastor here, and Peak Creek is a number of about 15 miles away, I guess, from Sparta. So it was interesting that she actually knows this guy.
Yeah.
Yesterday, when we stayed in Mount Airy, it was a place called the Bryson Inn, and when we walked in, we had to wait a little bit for somebody to come wait on us. But there was a guy who walked in, and we started to talk to him. I mean, he was waiting for something too. Turns out he's this 32-year-old single father who was raised in Dallastown. Dallastown is right next to Red Lion, which is right next to me. So here we are, we're over 400 miles away, and we run into this guy who grew up right where I live. It was really interesting. He's a truck driver. His truck had broken down, but he was he seemed like a really good Christian guy. And the way he looked at it was, if I had broken down last week, I would have missed Father's Day with my son.
Yeah.
But since it broke down this week, I was able to have Father's Day. So I thought, well, that's a perfect perspective to look at something like this.
Yeah, one of the things that we are loving most about this trip, in addition to just the sheer beauty everywhere we see, are the people that we're meeting. I need to tell this one. You might want to add to it. We were up on the Parkway and using a restroom, and I came out of the restroom and like 30 motorcycles pulled up, and I thought, oh boy, we're going to have some fun here. I'm being ironic. I thought we were going to have some problems, and it turns out this is a group from Canada, from Quebec, Canada, and we got to talking to those guys, and we talked at least 45 minutes.
45 minutes, yep.
And they didn't want us to leave. We didn't want to leave. We just, as Canadians and Americans, we found that we had so much in common, so much to celebrate together. And that's what we're finding everywhere we go. In spite of the political trends in the United States right now, we're meeting people with whom we have far more in common than are different. So we don't talk politics. We don't ask, who you're voting for or anything like that. But boy, it has been a joy to get out of the political arena and get into the human arena and just meet people some of whom love God, some of whom probably aren't Christian, but that's been a special part of the trip for us.
Yeah, one of the things, before I forget, one of the requests that we had, we were asked, well, what kind of wildlife have you seen on this trip? Mm-hmm. So we wanted to answer that, and it's probably a disappointing answer, but we haven't seen that much wildlife. We've seen a lot of deer. One of the most interesting things we saw on this little bike trail up in Virginia was this eagle in the middle of the road, kind of gnawing on something. I'm not quite sure what the animal was, but as we approached, the eagle kind of flew off and then landed in a field right next to the road. So I got a couple of pictures of that, which I haven't posted or anything, but this was, oh man, eagles are they're beautiful birds. It's really something to see that. Yeah. We've seen lots of deer. These deer come, they come right in front of the bikes, and they just jump. We've seen your normal squirrels, raccoons. We've passed by a couple of skunks that were not alive when we passed by, but the smell was there. But there really hasn't been that much in terms of wildlife, and partly because we spent most of our time on roads that are travel with trucks and cars. Some of the bike trails, we haven't been on really that many of them. So anyway, long story short, I was just checking the camera to see if it was still recording. Long story short, we have not seen that much in the way of wildlife.
Yeah, but we've seen a lot of humanity. and we celebrate the humanity we've been able to be with. And for those of the few of you who are concerned about these old guys, I'll be 76 next week, and Ken is 74. We're feeling great.
We are.
We're just taking on these mountains and biking our little hearts out. And so, if you're concerned about our health, we're doing very, very well.
Yep, we're good. I mean, this is quite a trip. We've gone about 460 miles so far, so we're a third of the way done already, and the time has just gone fast. So anyway, thank you for listening to this. We just wanted to provide an update. We had some time to spare, so thank you very much for watching. GoPro, stop recording.